So I came into work today and I thought it'd be kind of interesting to do an intro from the city. Um, it's a little after 5:25. Gonna take the subway and a train to the gym. A really annoying commute. But yeah, just a little different flavor. See you guys at the gym. So today I'm going to do a little bit of a voiceover instead of having the audio at the gym. The audio at the gym was a little muffled, and I think there's probably more value to be attained by having a voiceover this time around. So I started the workout with the alternate cable tricep pushdowns, high repetition, really focusing on getting the blood going into the muscles and having the mind to muscle contraction. When I'm doing tricep push downs, the things I'm focusing on are, so when the elbows are bent, how I feel the stretch in the medial head, the short head, and the long head of the tricep. So at the full bend of the elbow, you should feel a nice stretch in the medial tricep, and then as you push down, I'm kind of just holding, and then I'm doing quick reps here to get blood going into the muscles. But one of the things that I'm mentally visualizing is kind of that horseshoe shape of the tricep forming as I'm pressing each rep. And then I'm supersetting this with alternate dumbbell curls. And yeah, the movement will be a lot clearer in a little bit. I take the hoodie off, and so you'll see the muscles working a lot clearer. But again, the idea is to superset a push and a pull. So tricep is the push and the bicep is the pull. And by getting blood flowing in both directions, you get a really good pump. And while the tricep is working, the biceps are kind of at rest. And then while the biceps are working, the triceps are kind of at rest. So yeah, here you can see the muscles working better. As you can see, the medial, my tricep, the medial and the short head are kind of well defined. And so at each rep, when I'm holding at the bottom, you can notice that I'm having a squeeze. And while one is squeezing, the squeeze that I'm trying to go for is kind of like almost pushing out with your bottom of your palm. So like at the bottom of the tricep, if you position your hand on the handle such that the base of your palm is on the handle, if you direct force that way and then press it down, you'll feel a much better squeeze, or at least for my body, that's what I feel a really good squeeze on. Kind of trying to extend using the bottom of your palm. And then as far as the curls go, I'm almost slightly tensing my tricep at the bottom of each rep. That allows you to get a deeper stretch of the bicep. And at the bottom, I'm holding it for a second, really feeling the stretch, like with the opposing hand. And yeah, it's a really good pump. And the next exercise is this overhead. So I go from doing a straight down angle to an overhead angle, and I also change the handle of the cable. So what this does is it allows. So you'll notice in the video that I'm like kind of rotating my wrist. As you rotate your wrist in that in that elbow bent position, you'll notice how different areas of your tricep start getting stretched as you rotate your wrist. The other thing you'll notice is as you're extending your arm, if you kind of flex your wrist at the end, you can get a deeper contraction of the long head of the tricep. Overhead extensions are really good for the long head, but with a slight, but if you're using the rope handles, you can do a slight variation by which, or use the ability to rotate your wrist and the freedom that it gives to activate different portions of your tricep as well at different parts of the motion. And this time, as a superset, I'm doing dumbbell curl to presses. The reason for picking, so it's an arm and shoulder workout, and the reason for picking a dumbbell curl to press is so it forces the bicep and shoulder to work in unison. I'm a big fan of combining muscle groups that otherwise don't really work in. So a curl to press wouldn't traditionally be considered a movement that many people perform in their bodybuilding routine. But by incorporating exercises that require multiple muscle groups to be activated at the same time, for one, it's been shown to be better for overall muscle growth since it leads to a higher level of growth hormone release. So that's just from a hypertrophy standpoint. But from a functionality standpoint, you start becoming more aware of how to use your body as a unit and not just be just be molded by the isolation exercises or exercises by which you're just focusing on one body part and on each movement. By combining movements, you get more bang for your buck and also more awareness of how to use your body as a unit. So on the next exercise, I end up doing a landmine workout. So I'm doing 10 landmine shoulder presses each hand. It's a TRISET. So it starts off with landmine shoulder presses 10 each hand, and then goes to alternate curls, I believe, and then skull crushers with 10-pound kettlebells. One of the reasons that I like to do landmine shoulder presses a lot is that if you notice, it allows the angle at which it comes down and the ability to rotate on a side allows you to stretch or get a much deeper range of motion on the shoulder as opposed to a regular shoulder press where the dumbbell's on the side of your head and you kind of stop at 90 degrees, or some people stop a little below. Most people stop at 90 degrees. But by doing the landmine, it gives you a movement where you can use your shoulder in the whole range of motion and also load it really well. And more often than not, you're going to be performing the standing, and since it's one hand at a time, your core has to be activated to account for the offset of more load being on one side than the other. And then just regular curls here, just more of trying to get blood flowing into the muscles. And I superset this with kettlebell tricep extensions. So our kettlebell tricep skull crushers. I don't know either name, but you get the point. The reason for picking kettlebells this time around instead of doing dumbbells or any other weight is that muscle seems to get recruited slightly different with the different kinds of handles. And if you're not someone who uses the kettlebell often, and I don't really do kettlebell skull crushers often, but if you're someone who never does the movement like I do, you'll notice that doing an open hand tricep extension feels a lot different than doing a regular dumbbell tricep extension or any other kind of tricep extension that you're accustomed to doing. So it is good to throw alternate forms of resistance, be it through resistance bands, through kettlebells in this instance, through plates, anything to kind of break the norm. And you don't always have to break the norm, but don't get too used to lifting one kind of resistance. There is a lot of benefit to be attained from diversifying your abilities at the gym. For the next movement, I guess you can call it a staggered stance landmine thrusters. And so the staggered stance forces your quads to work unilaterally, and also your core is activated, and you're learning to move force, I guess, across your body into the hand and into the landmine. Learning how to move force and momentum through your body is a really good exercise. So it's essentially what weightlifters do. The clean and jerk or even kettlebell swings, is where you're learning to use your body to divert force and momentum in such a way that your body just kind of flows with the weight and the weight flows with you. So there's a reason to doing movements like thrusters or staggered stance thrusters in this case. It forces your core, your legs, your arms all to work as a unit. So you'll notice, at least as far as MMA fighters, people who have a really good punch, they're able to kind of like step in, like get force from the leg into the hand, and you kind of see them rotate their hand while twisting at the core. That is the ability. So you're using so many muscle groups at once. The amount of power that you're able to generate is much greater than being able to use just one muscle group. And so by doing movements such as these, you get more accustomed to using your body that way. So if you are someone that is training as a fighter, it would translate in being able to have more power into your hand, because now you're starting to learn how to move that force within across your body. And the more you're able to learn to use heavier load, it essentially means that the more momentum and force you're able to get into your hand. So this is a TRISET. It's a all shoulder TRISET. While there is legs in the landmine movement, it's primarily the shoulder is kind of the weakest component of that movement, and so the shoulder is going to get taxed the most. And then you're trying to keep the stress on the shoulder with kettlebell upright rows. The kettlebell upright rows, in my opinion, is a really good movement for the medial delt. Also, with a landmine shoulder press, it's a press, and so the primary components that are involved there are the anterior deltoid, which is the front shoulder, and the tricep. Whereas with an upright row, it's a flexion at the elbow, And it's like you're moving your elbow to the side. So the muscles involved are your bicep and your medial delt. What this means is that while the shoulder is being worked, you're working a slightly different component than what you were doing during the press. And this is a slight offset and allows you to uh, keep supersetting shoulders while having a slight sort of break. And then at the end, to keep or keep striking at the medial delt while it's hot, I'm doing side lateral raises with 10-pound kettlebells. You'll notice that I was holding it to the side and holding it up there. Holding something in place trains the isometric. So your muscles are capable of 3 movements, which are isometric, eccentric, and concentric. Isometric is holding something in place. Eccentric is the ability to lower something down or to elongate, and to concentric is to bring it the ability to contract. And in most cases, it's like never mind. I was going to say something, but then I realized it was wrong. But the point being, by holding it in place, I'm training a little bit of isometric and being able to keep the pump going into the shoulders. And so yeah, that's kind of my philosophy behind doing these kinds of movements. Is the one, using your body as a unit. Then 2, by doing multiple shoulder movements, you're able to train the shoulders in metabolic stress mode, which essentially means get a really good pump. And you're also accumulating a lot of volume, because every set you're doing a lot of reps with a lot of weight. So after this, I believe I went on a short rant on the backwards treadmill, or it's a treadmill and I was walking backwards on it. So I'll listen to the rant, then I do some abs and I'll come back in there.
I'm an hour and a half in to my workout, and I can't really think of other exercises to do. When I can't think of things to do, I usually just walk backwards. It gives me time to think, but while I'm thinking, I can do or get my mobility work done kind of mindlessly. I'm thinking about like what exercise I'm going to do next, if I'm going to do abs or not, if I'm going to sit in the sauna or not. But while I make all those decisions, and instead of just sitting around and doing nothing, I just walk backwards and think of it. Although I still haven't thought of what I'm going to do next. So far I've done 4 exercises, one of which is so I started off with tricep pushdowns to alternate curls. Then I did overhead tricep extensions to bicep curls or curl to presses. Then I did landmine presses to curls to skull crushers. Then I did staggered shoulder presses to upright rows to side laterals. So with that said, by the way, so the movements where I'm supersetting multiple shoulder movements, the way I picked the weight and the kind of movement is I'm starting off with the strongest movement. So a press is always going to be the strongest movement most muscles working together. Then going into an upright row where the press involves a lot more of the shoulder, or a lot more of the anterior deltoid and the tricep. A row requires you to flex at the elbow, so more your bicep is what's bringing it up, along with the side delt. So the bicep is a helper muscle versus the tricep in the shoulder press. So you're able to offset load a little bit that way, and then also focus more on the side delt. And then to kind of finish the side delt off by doing the side laterals, you're holding the isometric at the top, and then you kind of just do that. So you're getting isometric contraction, getting regular contraction, then because you're doing all these things back to back, you're getting a cardio. Then you're getting metabolic stress because again, back to back load, a lot of volume racked up. So you're not training it in the super heavy range, but you're pretty much getting every other way that you could hit a muscle group. When you're at the gym, you usually have an hour or two. You need to figure out ways to get the most out of your 2 hours. By supersetting different muscle groups, not taking a whole lot of rest, and keeping yourself accountable, you get the most out of your 2 hours. Way too many people come to the gym to chit chat, turn their brain off, and then hope to see results. The gym is fun. Sports are fun too. You don't not focus at sports, you don't turn your mind off. There's still amount of skill involved, you have to be involved in the sport. And then once it all said and done, you're relieved because you're exhausted, because you had a physical outlet. The same thing kind of applies with lifting, is you have to be engaged for the duration. It's a game that you're almost playing with yourself. And then once it's all said and done, it's, you get better. Lifting is the only thing, or the gym in general, in my opinion, is the only thing that's fair in life. With a lot of other things like getting a job or getting the lottery, whatchamacallit. Why can't I think of examples? But pretty much the point I'm trying to make is, in the gym, what you put in, you get out. In team sports, there is a chance that someone else on your team is a screw up, and then it doesn't matter how hard you worked, the end result is still a loss. In the gym, the only person you're competing against really is yourself. And as long as you put in more work, more consistency over a long enough period of time and stay focused, you will get better. And it's that simplicity of the gym, that the beautiful simplicity. You get what you put in. It makes it my favorite place. Not necessarily every workout is enjoyable, but I love coming to the gym because in the gym, it's a place where life seems most fair. Where each person is kind of progressing towards their own goals. and everybody is getting out what they put in. You know what I haven't done in a while? Take a kettlebell into the sauna, and by a while I mean like 2 or 3 days. So today might be a good day to incorporate that back in. I'm an hour and 40 minutes into working out. I did do pullovers yesterday, so I don't necessarily have to do them today. How much abs did I do yesterday? I don't think I barely did any abs yesterday. So I might do some abs. And then go to the sauna. That sounds like a plan, doesn't it? Core, then sauna. Been here for an hour and 40 minutes. Probably all of that will take 40 minutes, another 40 minutes or so. So that'll be 2 hours and 20 minutes. And then I should be able to make it back home in time. And today I have to eat a lot. Well, a lot of protein. Yesterday I had a lot of carbs but not enough protein. And then today I'll have a lot of protein and then keep the carb intake to a minimal. So like so far I've had 2 coffees, just cream, not even whole milk. So I'm pretty much running on all fat at the moment. So probably just have a ton of protein and then have a few carbs with an apple or something like that.
So for abs, I decided to go. So again, staying with this, it's a shoulder and arms workout. So I wanted to still do shoulders, but I also wanted to do abs. And so I came up with this motion to involve both muscle groups, and also the Roman chair makes it incredibly hard to do this. But so a couple of things are happening here. One, offset loading. Only one side is loaded at once. It forces the other side to compensate in order to perform the movement. The core is recruited in a way that it wouldn't otherwise be recruited by just a regular sit-up. Then on top of that, you have to balance your body and then perform a shoulder press on top. That requires a lot of stability at the trunk. And doing these kind of motions, like, it might look a little grandiose and you don't have to do it right away. It's something that I built up to. But the reason that it's a regular part of my routine is it's a way of training, like, it's a movement that my body can do. And if it's a movement that my body can do, then I try to apply resistance to it and then slowly try to progressively overload it. Most people view the growth of their strength exclusively as their totals on a bench, their totals on the squat, or their totals on a deadlift. Or maybe they have a shoulder press or some other thing that they keep account of. But movements such as these exist too. And if you're so singularly focused on movements such as the squats and deadlifts, you are losing, you are kind of losing all these other ways of moving your body that otherwise are available to you. It's not that no one can do it, it's just that no one trains it. I did not start at this level of flexibility. I did not start at this level of mobility or being able to use this kind of weight while doing these movements. So right now I'm using 50 kg 50 or not 50 kg, 24 kg, 50 pounds on the movement. Now imagine if you were in a situation where you were mid-air and someone pushed you really hard. To me, it feels like being strong in this kind of motion would allow me to sustain impact a lot better, because like if I'm this strong at handling 50 pounds in such an awkward angle, then in my mind, when something of high, some big impact happens, the likelihood that everything stays where it is and I'm able to maintain composure, able to stand my ground when there's an impact. So for example, this would come in account of like maybe basketball or something like that. But yeah, train these kinds of motions. In my opinion, they're really good for you. I then do some kettlebell swings in the sauna. Here's a small clip of that. But that's it for today's workout. Yeah, hope you guys liked it. See you guys in the next one. Peace.